to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today, Steffen Austerheim, grew up in Stavanger in the southwest of Norway where he started skating. In 2010 he went to high school at Bryggeriets Gymnasium, the famous Malmö-based skateboarding high school which has welcomed some of the best skaters from Scandinavia from the last 15 years, including Sarah Merle, Dietrich Golasso, Ville Wester, Oscar Rosenberg or Heitor de Silva to name a few. After high school, Steffen went back to Norway and kept skating at an insane level while working and studying to become a kindergarten teacher. In 2020, he started working as a skate teacher at Bryggeriets alongside John Dahlquist, vice principal and co-founder of the school who used to be his teacher. Together, they are guiding the next generation of amazing talent that will follow the path of their predecessors. So here's my conversation with Steffen. I hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much, man. I'm really honored to have you. I've been thinking of asking you to come on the podcast for a while now, and I've enjoyed having some of your friends and colleagues on this podcast in the last year or so.
Yeah.
And you have an amazing scene in Malmö and an amazing school at Bryggeriet, so I have a lot of questions for you. So
cool.
Yeah, really stoked. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for putting me on the podcast. I'm honored, and gonna be fun to see what you have in store for me.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I usually start the same way with every guest, and usually we start with just how the guest started skating. And so I know that you grew up in Norway. So Right now you live in Malmö because you're working at the school, and we'll talk about that eventually.
Yeah.
But I know that you're from a town called Stavanger. I'm not sure how to say that.
But Stavanger, it's called
Stavanger.
in Norwegian, but Stavanger is fine.
Right. And so tell me about growing up and picking up your first board.
Yeah, so as you said, born and raised in Norway, the west coast of Norway, to be precisely.
Okay.
And started skating when I was 10 years old. Actually, the reason why I started to skate is pretty funny. I used to play a lot of video games as a kid, and my mom, she was kind of frustrated with me just being so addicted to video games and just staying inside, not being active and all of that. And at that time, I think video games was it wasn't new, but it was still, to that point where it was a lot of talking about it's unhealthy and, this and that. So she really tried to get me into all kinds of sports. So she tried football and handball, where you play with your hands, throw a ball, So eventually she gave me a skateboard when I was 9, and it was one of those really bad skateboards you can buy at the sports shop, really thick boards with big wheels. And I remember telling her Mom, just stop, I'm never going to start skateboarding, so just don't. And she was like, oh well, I tried. And that year, I think Jackass was at the most high peak. It was 2002 or something.
Okay.
Jackass was a big thing. And Tony Hawk Pro Skaters, the video game, they just come out around that time. So so the combination of playing that video game and watching Jackass got me into hey, I got this board. And first, couple of months, me using that board was primarily, driving as fast as I could into curbs so I could slam, and it was hey, Jackass. And then, eventually I started to try to do ollies, and I started caught an interest for the actual skate part of it.
Right.
And especially from playing Tony Hawk Pro Skaters. And then eventually I told my mom hey, I want to start doing this for real. I want to have a real board. A proper board, yeah. And then the Christmas year after, I got my first proper board. I pretty sure it was Destructo Trucks and some local shop called Surf Snow Skate. They had their own brand with wheels, and actually a local Norwegian from Stavanger brand called Shit Skateboard, and that was my first 10 years old, so 20 years ago. And then from there on, I just, straight 8-hour practice every day, trying to do ollies and that stuff.
So you started skating around that time. And so when did sponsors start coming to knock on your door? Because I know that you were sponsored a few years back by DC. I saw like some footage of you for a local skate shop in Norway called Session, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I think you were on Plan B Flow or something for a bit as well.
Yeah, you got your facts pretty good.
So tell me about like those first sponsors that approached you. Like how old were you and how did it all happen?
So my first sponsor was actually Globe Shoes.
Oh yeah?
No, wait. No. I got it in the wrong order. My first sponsor was Rich Skateboards.
Okay. After Shit Skateboards? It was,
No. That was afterwards. Rich Skateboards came in first, and that was pretty random thing because Rich Skateboards, based in Norway as well. It was this guy, for me now, is a legend, you know. It's called like Kyrre in Norwegian. Okay. And he started his brand like around early 2000, and then he only put on kids at the age between 13 and 16. And that was like his concept. Anyway, he did this brand and he put on all these kids and we did some trips. And at that time, my brother used to film us. So he came along on some of the trips and mostly like competitions. We traveled around Norway to do competitions and film some small video projects. And it was all like really, like it kind of reminds of like Termite, if you ever heard of that brand.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of when you talked about this. Yeah.
Like a Norwegian Termite kind of concept. It was super popular at the beginning, especially since like at that time, like competition scene in Norway was super booming. Like everyone in the skate scene came to all the contests and, you know, there were so many kids at the time and everyone was super hungry and everyone wanted to get sponsored. So if you got on that, you knew you were on your way into the industry, like of being sponsored. So it was super popular the first like 2005 to like 2007, 6, I don't know. And it went out of business a couple of years after that. But I skated for them a couple of years. And then Globe Shoes came right after. It was my good friend Gustav Tønnesen, who also rode for Globe Shoes.
Yeah. He rode for Globe as well?
Yeah, me and him were teammates on Globe. Yeah, that's so sick.
Okay. So tell me about going to Bryggeriets, because as I said, you work there, but you were also a student there between, I believe, 2010 and 2013.
Yep.
You did all your high school over there. So tell me about like first hearing about the high school and how did you like apply to go there?
Yeah, I heard about it the first time when I went to maybe 8th grade, 9th grade. In Norway, you go from 1st till 10th grade in school. And then I heard about it because some other Norwegians that I knew, actually one of them rode for Rich Skateboards back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I saw those guys. They made some videos. Back then, Tacky, I don't know if you use Tacky in France. Like it was a skate site called Tacky Point.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was big in Scandinavia at least, like Tacky.no. Okay. And they made some, you know, just skate flicks from the school. And when I heard of that, I was like, what is this for real? Like, is there really a school in Scandinavia where you can actually do high school and skateboard?
Yeah.
That's just must be a joke or something. I don't know. It just sounds too good to be true. And when we saw the videos, that huge skate park, and it was way more like a OG Euro park back then, like, you know, big pyramids and rails, and it was a lot of stuff going on, but it still, like, we were so hyped and like, what, you got to go to school and meet other skaters? Like, it's just too good to be true. And I was into skateboarding around that age, like from 10 till, I guess, 17. It was my life. Like, I didn't care about anything else. Like, I didn't party. I didn't do nothing. I just skated. And I told my parents, like, before high school, like, I'm not going to a normal high school. That's for sure. Like, there's no way. Like, I got this thing going and this is what I'm going to do. So, like, I'm dropping out. Like, that's it. And they're like, no, never. No. That's not going to happen. I'm like, okay, so then we need to find something that works out. And then I got this school here in Malmö, and like Malmö is a great city and it's really nice here, but it's got a pretty bad reputation.
Okay.
Because there's some crime going on over here, and the Norwegian newspaper loves to write about it. in a really bad way, like, oh, there's gang violence and there's this and that, and and there hadn't been too many Norwegians attending the school besides of those, and I think they waited a year before they applied, so they were kind of like older, like 17, 18 or something like that. So. But anyways, like, my mom refused the first time, and she told me, like, no way, like, that's not gonna happen.
She was reluctant because it was in Malmö?
Yeah, like, first things first, I was 16 years old, I didn't take too much responsibility for myself, and it was just too early for them to send me away, which I totally understand to this day.
No, like, it's normal, they want to protect you.
No hard feelings there, quite the opposite. But anyways, I ended up going to high school in Norway for 2 or 3 months, and then I skated a competition in Norway called Volcom Wild in the Parks, which was like a pretty cool concept. Like, it was qualifications, and they did the competition around Europe. They did that in Norway, Sweden, Spain, a lot of countries, and then the ones who got first place in each country ended up going to the final in Malmö.
Oh, okay.
At Bryggeriet, at the skate parks. I was like,
oh, nice.
I won that competition in Norway, and when I heard, like, oh, the final is in Malmö, I told mom, like, hey, the final is in Malmö, like, at the school, like, you want to go? She's like, yeah, perfect, let's go. Like, I'll come, and we can even try to meet up with the teachers and see what this school is all about. And then
okay, so she was changing her mind already.
No, she wasn't really changing her mind, but she was kind of more open to it, because, like, as I said, I went to a high school in Norway, but I got really bad grades, like, from the start. Like, I wasn't skipping school too much, but I was just not there, mentally. I was watching Sean Malto parts all day long, I couldn't focus on anything else. So
sure, yeah.
And then we ended up going to Bryggeriet, and I actually won that competition too, and like, it was kind of humble bragging here, but whatever. But anyways, we got to talk to the principal of the school, and John was there also, and little me, and we were talking, and they were pretty convincing, I would say, because after that meeting, she kind of understood the whole thing, and she was like, okay, this seems like a good place to be, even though it's kind of scary to send my son over to Malmö.
Yeah.
So when I came home, I was like, Mom, there you go. Like, this is it. And she was like, yeah, well, okay, I get it. So, okay, next year. And I was like, yes, let's go. And ended up quitting my high school like the week after, like, just dropped out. But the good thing was that high school I went to in Norway, it was like a service program where you learn to like work like in the service industry. And then I had like a internship at the skate shop Session, as you mentioned. Oh yeah. So I talked to that shop, and my mom was like, okay, the one condition of you dropping out is that you got something else to go to. And Session was like, yeah, sure, come and work here. So I started working at Session when I was 16.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
It all worked out, yeah.
And so how was your experience going to the school? Like, how did you enjoy it? And how would you say that it helped you with either your skating or just figuring out what you wanted to do eventually after high school? Like, what was your main lesson that you learned from going over there?
My main lesson from going here? I guess just coming over, like, school is an institution, whatever which angle you may look at it. It is an institution and it has a purpose. And the purpose is, of course, learning and, of course, get a degree. And, some schools is more angled as like the practical point of view and like gives you skills and tools to do certain type of work. And other is more preparing for doing studies. So for me to be able to use my passion and be able to actually do what I love to do. And like, as I said, I was really a stubborn kid. For me, it wasn't an opportunity. It wasn't like, yeah, maybe, well, it was like, it's this or nothing. So to be able to actually do what I love and do what I was passionate about. And at the same time, I got to, of course, please my parents to go to school, but to have that degree on in life. Like, I didn't get the best grades, but I got through it all. And I studied at the university later with those grades. Yeah, and I'm just really thankful, because if I didn't do that, I probably would be stuck with either doing school afterwards, which is not in my, like, I'm not the type of guy who like really enjoys being on the school bench. I don't enjoy it too much, but I figure that if I wanted to do something else than just, you know, construction work or just like hard labor, it's a good thing to go to school. And
sure.
But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. What I learned, just to be around adult teachers who accept you for what you are and understand you, like.
Yeah, and share that passion for some of them, at least, like
John.
Yeah.
John was, of course, my mentor, and still to this day is my mentor, and huge influence. And just to be able to talk with adults and express yourself, how you're feeling, what you think, and they actually listen to you and they actually motivate you to get through it. And like, okay, but like, come on, let's go. How can we angle this so it works out for you? Besides, like, you know, the Norwegian system, or I don't know, not all in Norway, but at least the ones I've been through earlier on, it's the school institution is such a square thing in certain types of school. It's like, if you don't fit in, you don't fit in, and then you like you know, decide, and too bad for you, I guess.
So tell me a bit about like the aftermath of the school, because so you graduated in 2013 and you eventually came to work there in 2020, I believe, so about 2 years ago. But between those two and that whole process, you were skating professionally, you had sponsors, you were traveling, and I also saw that you were working for like the city of Stavanger for a bit, I think you were, I'm not going to say the word in Norwegian because I'm going to butcher it, but it's like a care assistant basically, or something like that.
Yeah, you really got your facts straight. Yeah, that was super random. That was not a really thought through choice. That kind of happened. But to take you further, like after graduating Bryggeriet, at the end of my time at Bryggeriet, I wouldn't say I was lost, but I would say that drive I had to become a professional skateboarder and my skate career, it was so much during my time at Bryggeriet. Like I traveled to the US 3 times. I skated competitions like all year around. I filmed video parts. I had some different sponsors, and a lot of stuff happened during those days, and it was such a good time, and it was a lot of pressure too, and it was a lot of,
I'm sure,
it was a lot, and being in that skate bubble for 10 years made me kind of miss and crave something more outside skateboarding.
Okay.
So at the end of my last year at Bryggeriet, I still skated a lot, and I still, like, of course, did competitions and filmed and did trips. But I got a girlfriend, and I went a lot back home. I traveled home during the weekends, and I started like to search for new friends outside skateboarding, and I started partying a lot, and got into other stuff. I started weightlifting.
Oh yeah.
At the age of 19 to get something else besides skating, and that was really good. That helped me a lot to take focus off, the whole skate stressful things. And when I came back home to Norway, I will say I was kind of lost, but because, coming back I lived for myself for 3 years, only skateboarding, and came home with like, I'm kind of not over skateboarding, but I was over the whole skate career, fixation.
Yeah, I understand.
And I was like, I'm not going to...
A little bit burnt out, yeah.
Exactly, a little bit burned out on that side, but not burnt out in life. Quite the opposite.
Sure.
I was full of life and so eager to explore like other stuff, and weightlifting and partying took a bigger place in my life. And for me, coming home to my hometown was really good. Before I left, I was like, I'm never going to live here. This is too small for me. The skate scene is too small. And when I came home, I'm like, I'm never leaving this place again. Like I want to be here the rest of my life. Like this is where I'm from. This is where they talk the same language, the same dialect. And I really craved, to get into that bubble that I missed, and I never like really got to attend.
I understand.
Yeah, I worked at Session when I came home for like 2 years.
Okay.
And skated and traveled and did that stuff. But as I said, like partying was taking over more and more, and I worked out and hanged out with a lot with friends, and like stopped caring about like whether or not I was going to be a professional skateboarder. It was so good. Like it was like a relief, like not caring that much. It was like, oh, finally I can go skateboard and just, you know, have fun. Yeah, so it was a good thing for me too. And then after a while I figured like, okay, I don't want to work in a skate shop the rest of my life. I want to do something else, and I don't know what at all. Stavanger is the oil capital of Norway. It's normal to work like offshore, where you go like 2 weeks on and 4 weeks off. So that's like a big dream. It's like, it's good money, it's hard labor, but it's also good terms. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Like if I'm going to be a Stavanger boy, like that's what I need to do. And right at that time, 2014, when I was supposed to do that, it was like an oil crisis. It's like something happened like Saudi Arabia, and the oil prices just dropped overnight, and like people told me like, don't do that education because it costs a lot of money and like you won't get a job. So I was like, okay, I see, yeah, what should I do now? And then my mom, she worked as a caretaker, we can use that term, at it's like an home for people with mental disabilities and physical disabilities, right? And she told me like, yeah, you should try that. That's like, I think you could fit it pretty well. Like yeah, sure, like why not? It was pretty close to my house, and I thought like, why not? Just try it. I knew it was good money. It was better money at least than working in a skate shop, and it was good hours. And there's always a really big crave after like people who can work and be young, of course, who can work extra and overtime, whatever. And I just went in with my nothing, no application, nothing, just asked like, can I work here? And they were like, who are you? Like, yeah, I'm Monica's son, my mom. And they were like, well, I think they might need some help downstairs. Just go down and talk to the boss. And they're like, yeah, she's not here, but come back tomorrow. And they just hired me just on the spot. Like, yeah, can you start tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, do you have any experience? Like, you know, there's diapers. And it's like, no, never done anything like it. It's like, yeah, well, you figure it out. Come here tomorrow at like 7 and you'll start. And from there, it just kind of took off. I just worked for half a year nonstop and just earned money and lived at my parents' house. And then I started, I applied to university, the University of Stavanger. I applied for a couple of like programs. I applied for like, it's not nursing, but it's something else. It's like kind of in between nursing and working with people with disabilities. Yeah, I applied for that, and I applied for like social worker. I applied for a couple other stuff, and ended up, because as I said, my grades weren't that good, so I ended up getting into a program called kindergarten teacher.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I think you mentioned that in the followed piece.
Probably. And my job, where I already worked, told me like, if you get this degree, like you can work here full time and we will pay you as, it's called miljöterapeut. It's like we can just call it a social therapist. Let's just use that term. And yeah, they told me that, and I worked there part-time at the same time as I studied. And then pretty much just started going to that program. And in the beginning, I was kind of skeptical, like, yeah, well, is this for me? Like, I don't know. I'm not too much into like working with kids at that age because they're really small, and I hadn't done it too much before. But if I can use it in other jobs, like, sure, why not? But I was definitely not like, 100% sure that this was it. But kind of figured like I only need the papers, and as I said, I don't really enjoy sitting at the school bench, so it wasn't really an alternative for me to go back to high school and up my grades to get into the program I really wanted, because either way I wasn't even really sure what I wanted to do. So yeah, I started that program and I went there from 2015 till 2018, and then that same institution that I worked on just hired me full time like half a year before I even was done with my education. They were like, yeah, sure, we want to keep you, so you can come work here. So
and so tell me about like coming back to Bryggeriets. So that was in 2020.
Yep.
How did it happen? Like, did John approach you to offer you this job, or did you like knock on their door? How did it all happen?
So what happened was, at like age 25, when I studied, I applied for like an exchange student program in Copenhagen. And me and John always kept in touch
after the school.
Yeah, I came back like once a year to skate competitions and just hang out and, talk to John. And There's a special feeling about this place, and like a lot of students keeps returning here, and that's a good thing. As long as it's not, returning every day after graduation, then it's more like a separation problem. But but anyways, like I always enjoyed coming back, and when I was studying in Copenhagen, I told John about my degree and what I was doing, and he's a social worker too, so we kind of bonded over that, and we're like, hey, I'm going to China for a month, and I'm going to like train the Chinese Olympic team. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And he was like, hey, if you have time, or like if you want to, like you can come over and substitute a couple hours to some of the classes. So I was like, yeah, cool, like yeah, for sure, that would be cool to come back and like be on the opposite side of the table,
Yeah.
So I did that a couple of times, and at the time I was like, I've always been a really nervous speaker, like in front of people.
Oh yeah, I'm the same, I understand.
Suffering from, like social anxiety, just talking in front of, classes and stuff like that. So I was like a nerve wreck when I came over, and, I tried to hide it by like a cool facade. I was like at my peak at like weightlifting at the time. So I was like, I looked more like a bodybuilder and a skateboarder at age 25, I would say. Tight t-shirt, came in like with all fixed hair and just like, yeah, let's go skate, guys. And like, whoa, okay, let's go. And, as I told you earlier on, I always been, I want to skate my best. I want to, of course, skate good to feel good, but also to impress. So I was like, do a nollie heel board slide down rails, and people was like, well, who is this dude, like bodybuilder coming in doing all this nollie heel board slides? And and that was fun, but I was like, ooh, I could never ever do that. Like, I would be a nerve wreck every day coming into the school and talking in front of people. So I went back to Norway, stayed there for 2 more years, working full time at that institution, and I came back a year later afterwards, actually 2019. I went to Copenhagen to visit my good friend Love. Shout out to him. And I met this girl when I was studying just once at like an art show, at Love's art show actually. Okay. And then I couldn't let her go from my mind. I was like, I want to go back to meet her, but she wasn't too stoked on meeting me. But I went down to visit Love, and the same weekend as I visited my friend Love, I met up with John just randomly. I told him like, hey, I'm in town, like if you got time, let's take a beer, say what's up. And he's like, yeah, for sure. Like I actually wanted to talk to you about something, so that's perfect. I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. And we had a sit down and took a beer, and he was just like, I've been thinking, like, I've been looking for somebody to come in and add to the skate teacher group. Right. It's not a group, it's only me and him. But anyways, he wanted to add an extra teacher in. And I was like, oh, whoa. He's like, yeah, and like there's a lot of skateboarders that could be a good fit, but like none of them has like a pedagogy as an asset to, being a teacher. Mm-hmm. And you have that. I was like, yeah, sure. But, that's for like 0 to 5 year old kids. But it's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. It's all babies. And I was like, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, pretty much like pedagogy in a way works for everyone, I would say. Sure. And I was like, yeah, that sounds crazy, but I was overwhelmed, and I just remember that last thought I had after being there like 2 times, like I can never ever come back, doing this, like this is way too much. And then but I met that girl too, and we started dating afterwards. So I came back and forth, like I traveled to Malmö for like a week here and there, and because that other job that I had, it gave me like 1 week off every 3rd month. Okay. So I used that week to come over and visit her and just hang out. Right. Okay. And she went to school, so I had nothing to do basically during the weekdays. And I told John about like, yeah, I'm here for like a week here and there. Like, if you're down, I'm just coming over to Bryggeriet and hanging out and just join in. Yeah. He's like, yeah, sure, come on, you're welcome, you're more than welcome. And then I was like, yeah, cool. Let's do it. And I joined in the skate class, just sat in the corner, didn't say a word, too nervous to speak, and still looked like a bodybuilder and tried to impress the students, I guess. And nobody really knew me because I was like 27 years old, so it was like 7 years later. Yeah. But ended up getting serious with the girl, and COVID hit at the time. Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. And I had some personal issues at the time with like mental health issues, like anxiety, pretty severe anxiety issues. and went in like into a full blown, you know, like panic attacks and depressed state just at the same time as COVID hit. And it was like, you know, I was kind of like in a crisis in my life where like, whoa, like this isn't working out for me. Like at home, like I partied way too much and it was out of control. And, you know, the thing with that girl was like make or break. Like if we want to keep doing this, I need to either move or I need to just, you know, drop it. And I was kind of not burned out with my job, I guess, but I had like multiple jobs at the same time. I bartended like on 3 different bars, working 100% at that other job, and you know, partied at the same time so much. So and thought I was like super happy, but like what I figured out was like I was pretty deeply depressed and had some crazy anxiety issues, and I couldn't even work for a couple of weeks because I was so off. Like I was just stressing.
Okay.
And in all these, you know, stressful moments and dark times, I kind of just got this, you know, kind of light thrown down, just showing up. And it was like clear to me, like, I need to change something. I need to switch it up. Like, maybe I should just do this Malmö thing. Maybe I should just move, just leave this life behind. But it felt so weird, you know, because I was burned out leaving Malmö the first time, and now I'm burned out in Stavanger, and you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So it was super weird for me. Like this seems like backwards, and for some reason, but of course the girl who I'm engaged to this day was like a huge part of that, and it made me like do the switch. So yeah.
Okay.
I just went for it. Like mid-corona, me and her was like, it was pretty uncertain, but I just told her like, hey, I'm feeling pretty bad these days, but like the only thing that makes sense is just like, you know, exploring what we are and moving down. And I got this, John gave me the offer like at the same time, because I was pretty open with him, just told him like, hey man, this is where I'm at. Like I'm feeling pretty bad, but at the same time, like I've been working full time and had this education. And at that time, you know, where I felt really down low, skateboarding was just there. It was just there waiting for me to just pick it up and just go skateboard. So I started skating a lot again, like kind of quiet down on the partying and whatever. And then it just made sense to do something else. But I was so scared and so nervous going back to, you know. And for me, especially at that time when I had so severe anxiety problems, to be able to talk in front of people was just, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed just
it's very difficult.
Out of the picture, but I did it anyway.
You took a leap of faith, and
100% a leap of faith. It was crazy.
I talked about the followed piece, the Pocket Skate Mag piece on Bryggeriets, and whoever is listening to this, I highly recommend that they go watch it. But tell me about like some of the lessons, and how do you divide your roles basically with John?
Yeah, how we divide the roles, we just kind of go with the flow, I guess. Of course, in the beginning, I was more of a sidekick.
Yes.
100%. I was, you know, a lot more passive because, as I said, I tried to do one step at a time. You know, John was like the main teacher, and I was more like, as I said, sidekick. So I tried to come in every now and then and like, you know, say something just to like have heard my own voice in the room, and you know, standing in front of the class just to, you know, be present, I guess. And,
sure.
And maybe overcompensated a lot at the beginning. So with skate-wise, just, you know, came down on the park, just tried to crush it. So I felt good at
impress
something.
Everybody. Yeah,
and impress myself. Like, okay, I didn't talk too much, I didn't do too much, but I shredded hard. It kind of felt weird, but that was so good too, because I talked to John about that, and I was like, oh man, I don't feel like I'm doing my job right. Like I'm not hired, you know, to skate like a maniac. You know, I'm a teacher. And he was like, hey man, think about this. If you went into a classroom and you saw a math teacher, you know, just like doing equations, like, oh man, just like, hold on a second, I just need to finish this equation right here. I'm so close. And the students, they would be like, whoa, he's so stoked. Like, what is he doing? Like,
yeah.
He's like, that's you right now. Yeah, it's inspiring. Like, that's you right now. Like, you're just doing your thing, and you're giving them something to strive against.
Sure,
you know, you motivate them. Like, whoa, I never even thought of that. But like, yeah, if you tell me that, like, sure thing. It gives me at least some confidence boost. And it was good for me. That was the way for me to cope with, you know, my personal things in the beginning. And then
let the skating do the talking, kind of.
Exactly. More that. But and also I was always better, you know, on the one-on-one hand talking and but the hard thing was still like the fact was that I was a teacher. I was supposed to stand up there, talk and educate. So after like 20 years passed by, like first year and then the second year, because at the beginning I was only working like, you know, 60% and it wasn't enough. It kind of opened up an opportunity with the PE class, physical education. Not skateboarding, just normal school PE. So I kind of jumped on that train and was like, yeah, sure. Like I want to work here, you know, as much as I can, or at least like more than I do. Yeah. And that was interesting because that wasn't only the skateboard students anymore. It was also, you know, the
other students.
Normal, yeah, because there is normal students.
Right,
Or like normal students, you know, like students who doesn't skate also attend the school. Like, there's an art class, there's a media class, and there's all different types of students attending the school. So now I was included in that too, and it's like a weird thing, but it was kind of, you know, in somewhat almost easier for me because, you know, standing in front of the class being like, yeah, I'm a skateboarder, I've been skating for 20 years, I've been doing this and that. It kind of followed some expectations about like, you know, how I was supposed, or at least I felt that like it kind of came with some pressure. And I was like, like sometimes I felt that pressure was, and at the beginning the age difference wasn't that big. Like people knew me and I was like, I knew you from like, you know, back in the day and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, the transition being a homie and a teacher was kind of, you know, hard to balance sometimes.
I can see
but,
that,
you know, meeting people who was like, they had no idea who I was, and they're like, yeah, you're just another teacher, you know, just teaching us PE. And you know,
not
you're a bit
interested
young,
in skating, so you can't really impress them with your skills.
Yeah, exactly. That was really good, and I was just like, yeah, sure.
Humbling, and
grew into that role, and eventually I took over that class. So now I'm doing the PE class by myself.
Okay. Oh, cool.
And that helped. Yeah, that helped me a lot. And during after I worked 1.5 years, I was really, you know, back and forth, like, okay, now I worked here for 1.5 years, and it's really tough, you know, working in one place where you feel we have low self-esteem, where you're like really like insecure and
doubting
yourself, like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And it came down to a point where I was like, okay, so now I've been back and forth for so long and I've been struggling with these things on the side, so I need to like land in something, you know. I can't be in this limbo anymore. So it's either I switch it up and apply for a new job, which I wasn't that interested in, because like, what should I do in Malmö? I have no connections, and you know, kindergarten, I kind of lied to myself at one point, like, yeah, kindergarten is pretty dope, like, and I know, like, nah, it's not, like, I've done that, and it's not my thing really.
Okay.
But then I just kind of decided, like, okay, you know what, like, I don't really care anymore. Like, if I am nervous, if I have suffer from, you know, anxiety, depression, like, I'm just gonna do this full on. I'm just gonna commit 100%, and if I fail, whatever.
Yeah,
it's cool. Like, then at least I gave it my all, you know.
Sure.
Like, at least I just committed to it. So after that, things started to get better. Like, I started to actually tell John, like, hey, I want to do this. Like, I remember the first real presentation I did was, and that's pretty ironic, it was about mindset. I called it like a skate mindset lecture, because I'm really into, you know, as I said, psychology and also physical health, because I've been working out for years. So I was like, okay, so I told John, like, hey man, I want to try to face my fears once and for all, and like take that step into the, you know, the teaching world and be a teacher. And for me, doing that, it comes with, you know, me doing a presentation. And the good thing was that John never expected, or the principal never said, like, hey, if you don't do this, like, you're not a teacher. Like, they were always like, hey man, like, you do you. Like, teachers are individuals, not like a fabricated machine. Like, if you're more of the, like, you know, less talkative guy and more like practical, like, the students are happy with you, like, we're happy with you, like, you're doing a good job. And the only person who was not telling me that I was doing a good job was myself. And that comes with me being like, you know, trying to always do my best in skateboarding. I'm really like
very
self-critical. So yeah. But yeah, anyways, I was just like, okay, so John, like, let me do this lecture and he's like, for sure, this is perfect. Like, go ahead. And I remember like staying at work after hours, you know, really training hard, like getting all the, you know, PowerPoint slides in and like really practicing. And I even practiced in front of my friend. So that was funny. And then I ended up just like doing it, you know. And I've been skating competitions for so many years. And the anxiety I get standing in front of a crowd talking is way worse than, you know. I skated Tampa Am once. That was horrifying. That was nerve-wracking. Maybe to say, yeah. But when I skateboard, it's like I don't need to talk. I just need to do. And like if I miss, like I'm so full of adrenaline. I'm just like, you know, just in the zone. But talking, you need to like stay calm at some point too. Yeah, that's the hard thing.
You're much more vulnerable talking than you are skating. I mean, especially someone like you who's so gifted at skating. Like you can just skate and perform.
Yeah, you can hide behind the mask. Yeah, and it's always, I mean, it's not easier in the long run to have a mask and a facade, but it definitely feels good in the moment. And I've been doing that a lot. So now I was prepared to, you know, come up on stage, come up in the classroom, having a lecture. And in this lecture, I was pretty open, which I am with you too. And that's sort of my thing, that I try to be really open about, you know, mental health, feelings and thoughts and everything. So we had the lecture about, as I said, skate mindset. We got into the fear part, like what is fear? Like, of course, you can go into the biological perspective. You're like, what is fear? Where does it come from? Why do we get it? What's the reason for having fear? Is it good? Is it bad? Blah, blah, blah. How does it affect skateboarding? Yeah. And then I talked about like anxiety and what anxiety is and why people suffer from it and how does it come up, and social anxiety, and you know that it's pretty common. It's a lot of people that suffer from it, and a lot of people not necessarily suffer from it, but they can feel it because like we are pretty scared to get judged. Like me, I have suffered from social anxiety for half of my life, and now I'm standing here and I'm facing my fears just in front of you. And it gets pretty weird with people, because people are like, wait, what? Like, so you're scared right now, or are you joking? Yeah. And people usually tell me it's pretty hard to see on my face that I am scared or whatever. That probably, as I said, build up a pretty good facade or whatever. But
sure, yeah.
So it gets pretty funny. But that was a big step, at least, to do that. And after that, it kind of just, you know, I'm still super nervous every time I do those, and luckily I don't do those too often, because my role as a teacher is not, you know, I'm not a theoretical teacher. I'm more of a practical. And usually just, you know, we have a small conversation and talk about an assignment, an experiment which we were going to do or whatever. But I always try to, you know, just use it as an opportunity to, you know, like practice.
So to wrap it up kind of with your position now at Bryggeriets, like tell me about what's your day-to-day, what does it look like? Like how much time do you spend in the skate park actually skating or giving them assignments and stuff like that versus doing presentations like the ones you just mentioned? What's a normal day in your life? What does it look like at Bryggeriet?
Skate teacher Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and PE teachers the whole Wednesday.
Okay.
So the skate class are like a half day kind of course, you know, like we have a 3-hour lecture, or not, it's not a lecture, of course, not like, I guess skate classes. The class we do on Tuesday, which is in the morning, is more of the theoretical part of the skate class. In the curriculum, it's not called skate. It's called like special PE.
Okay.
So in the Swedish school system, you have something called like a free school, and Bryggeriet is one of these free schools where it's more like, you know, open, and it's more like up to interpretation what you want to call and what do you want to do in this course. So, Marie and John has kind of hacked the system, and they figured out like, hey, we can actually say that skateboarding is a special PE class. Okay. I know there's one school in Sweden who has like wakeboard as a special PE. So there's tons of other schools that hack that system, and it's not even a hack, it's just a good way to interpret the school curriculum. And but as I said, like, you have the special PE, and it's in this class, in this subject, there is something that's called träningslära in Swedish. Okay. Which is like, we just look at it as the theory part of the course. So we do always, like every year, that presentation I did about like skate psychology. Yeah. We do that every year, and that's kind of my thing. I do that lecture, and I kind of like, finessed it and try to make it,
like, improve it and
improve it and
update
it. It's a kind of a way for me to measure myself too. Like, okay, so now this year I did it like that, and it was good. That didn't work out, and then right. Also we try to give them assignments afterwards. Like, okay, so now we talked about skate psychology. And we usually work in like this like experiment, assignment form in the skate classes. Yeah, so besides, skate psychology, we do skate history. We also try to do, like just experiments in the theoretical course. I think next Tuesday, we're going out to like swim in the ocean in the wintertime. Oh, nice. Just to be like, what's the health benefits of doing that, and how did it feel like? And so we try to stay, kind of open-minded and just try different stuff with the kids, and just experiment and see. Well, of course, it has to do something with, the special PE class to do, but yeah. So in the skate course, we usually, like goals. That assignment, the one that Pocket Mag filmed, right? It's like that assignment. Me and John, we use that assignment as like the frame of skating class. Okay. We say like, this is the main thing that we work on. Like, we're gonna do this assignment. We're gonna repeat it like once every half year, to make the students like keep it in mind, because it's such a great assignment. Not only skateboarding, but just in life in general. It's called like SMART goals. So it's like, right. Yes. Yeah, I hope I get this right now. It's like specific, measurable, accepted, realistic, and time limited. Right, yes. So they basically write down a goal where they have one class into trying to achieve that goal. But the goal is not to land the trick itself. The goal is to, have a pinpoint, like, okay, this is the direction I'm going to. So if you manage to land the trick, sure thing, that's good and all, but the main goal is just to, strive against something and then reflect on it afterwards. And we do that in all kinds of forums. Like, sometimes we just talk about it pretty loose, just like, hey, how did it feel? Like, did you manage it? What was the problem? Was it easier than expected? Was it harder than expected? Was there something that came up that was a surprise? Like, was there any fear involved? All that kind of stuff. Like, and sometimes they write it. Sometimes we do it in a more like, controlled, divide into groups, discussions. And that's how it is, kind of. And we try to get as much input from the skaters as possible and ask them, like, what do you want to focus on? Like, we have assignments that are like based on repetition, like do kickflip as many times as you can, on different obstacles. How does it feel? How was kickflip number 1 versus kickflip number 50? Does it get automatized? Like, and how does that feel? Like, does it give you confidence? Can you flip into something? And of course, watch skate videos. We use a lot of My Wars on Thrasher because those are so good, especially with these goals assignments.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect demonstration of
somebody really pursuing a goal.
Yeah, and a gnarly one.
Yeah, gnarly one. And some people like have a My War that lasts for years too. So to put it in perspective, So
yeah. The one you used followed was the Dane Berman 50-50, right? In Philly.
Exactly.
That was a gnarly one.
Yeah, I saw the 9 Club. They did like a commentary on the Fallout piece, and they would like, Mike Mo would say, "Oh, I wish I had like classes where we like watch Dane Berman try to 50-50. It's so sick." It's funny. Yeah. No clue what Bryggeriet is.
Yeah, no, I think it's for the rest of the world. I guess it's difficult to wrap your head around what you guys are doing at Bryggeriet. So I saw that last year the students at Bryggeriet did this project with CHPO.
Yeah.
They did like this cool project with the sunglasses and like the sales kind of paid like the whole trip to the Vladimir Film Festival and everything.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So I wanted to know if you were involved in this project, for example, or is that something that's a bit in other classes that are not your jurisdiction, so to speak, or are you involved at all in these kind of projects?
I mean, of course, I'm involved in some way, but this specific project, most of those projects are like John's jurisdiction, if you would call it that.
Right.
I'm more focused on, the routines and just the classic skate lessons and PE lessons. That's more my jurisdiction and more my focus. And that's really good for me because I love working with that. And, John, he's been doing that for 16 years now. So he's really passionate about doing projects that goes further outside the school. But I'm really, for me, this bubble in this school and these classes are like a jungle for me still, and I'm trying to navigate through it all, and I try to get my color, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I try to find my place and get comfortable, and more I feel like it. John told me that too not too long ago. Started off with me being his sidekick. Now we're more equals in the classroom, talking equal, having different project that we are more or less involved in, and I kind of have a finger in most projects. And as this project went on, he has his own class too, called design class.
Oh, okay.
So he's also doing that class beside of skating, and that's usually where he invites in the entrepreneurs like Victor and CHPO and doing those, and they're doing some crazy projects now too, which is incredible. And I think it's grown over the years. When I went there, we didn't have too much of that.
Okay.
And I think that's something as I said, he's been doing this for so many years. So, that's at least how I see it. For him to keep this job interesting and to grow and evolve, because that's important. And we talk about it a lot, if some of us were to stop evolving and being I'm just gonna do the same thing.
Just repeat yourself basically.
Then maybe it's time to ask yourself, is this the right thing? But that's definitely not the case for John, because he's skyrocketing in his work here and just doing so many incredible projects with they did one project with the agency in 1993, and I hear now I'm really talking off from CHPO, but it's just crazy to think about how much stuff he's able to do, and he's just constantly grinding, there's so often he just come over hey, check this out, I got this DM from Neil Chester or some other industry guy, how to even manage for me, just to, focus on the routines and doing the skate class is a lot, but he's just way out there, getting contacts and
coming up with new ideas.
Yeah, but that's kind of that dynamic, I guess. Back to that question. So it's kind of grown into he's been, maybe that's a good thing too, because I feel like I'm doing more of the routine work. I kind of fill in some forms, to get the planning right, and do the daily lessons. I kind of I try to brainstorm for new things. He does that too, of course, because he's his mind is just constantly exploding with ideas, I guess. But I try to set time, to use time to sit down and actually think okay, so what should we do next week and a week after that? I'm trying to plan all these things, and I do the same thing with my PE things. But John is just hey, let's call this guy and let's do this, and at the same time, and it's really cool and really unique. It's really exhausting. Even for me, just, being passive in those, because it's such a big projects, and it's people coming in from the industry, I can notice that on the students too. Sometimes it's kind of overwhelming, whoa, we're gonna do a commercial for the new Hater collab, and we're gonna have a presentation for the whole 1993 agency, and they're gonna pick one winner. And that's, I don't know, I would be terrified. I'm terrified just sitting in the room, just, whoa, this is it's a lot, but at the same time, it's such a unique and crazy cool thing, and
that's amazing to work on projects like that when you're that age. Like,
I know that's just
incredible.
It's surreal.
Yeah.
And in some way, I feel like, I hope at least that he feels, comfortable and more reliable on me to hold the routines, to hold the schedules, and like keep the quality of because, when you do all that stuff that he does, it's kind of impossible to keep track of all the routines and stuff at the same time. So sometimes, John can be like so deeply involved with his project that like I see sometimes like a role that needs to be filled. Like, okay, you do that. Like, I'll support you all the way. And of course, I love being involved with them. But like most time, for me, it's really good, and I enjoy, just to keep it on the low, with the routines, the assignments, the lectures, and he could go into any lectures. As I said, he's been doing it for so long. He could go in not prepared at all and just like drag a bunny out of his hat and say, "Hey, let's do this today." Now, like, I need to like focus. I need to think about it. I need to like be prepared to some extent. So that's kind of the dynamic. Like, I'm more the boring guy and sitting with the routines and sitting with the planning and we have a meeting once a week, and I tell him like, "Yeah, I've been thinking maybe we should do this and this and this." It's like, "Yeah, that sounds sick. Maybe we should do this too." Like, "Yeah, cool." And and also I had this new crazy project. Like, "Yeah, here we go again." Like, but it's amazing.
It looks like you two are very complementary, like in your personalities and how you approach this skate teaching role.
Yeah, I think so. It works out pretty well. We cooperate well.
Some of the very best skaters in the world right now have come through Bryggeriets. I mean, there's, of course, you, Sarah Merle is one of the OGs from the school. Yeah. Oski, Deeds, Villa, who just turned pro, Heitor. And outside of pro skaters, there's also some amazing talents that have come out of the school, like Jakob Uvgren from Polar, Tor Strom, the filmer, and many, many other people. And so I was wondering, like, among the current students that are in the school right now, who would you say are some people that, the world needs to keep an eye on? Who do you think is like the next Heitor, the next Deeds, the next Tor, the next Steffen Austerheim?
Well, I don't like to favorize, but...
You're going to bump some students out with your answer now.
No, I don't think so. But first and foremost, I want to say they're so great, all the students. And I mean, there's so much different stuff that they all contribute with, not only skate-wise, but I just really think they're amazing students, and they're so talented, and there's so much more to them than just, skating as well. But we're talking about skateboarding, so I'll keep to that subject. But right now, there are a third grader in Bryggeriet called Koffe Kroon.
Okay.
He's like a Terminator. He's like a machine. And he's more like a competition skater.
Okay.
Than a street skater, but he got that too. Like, he's mostly rail skater, so he should definitely go over to the US and just show them who's the boss, Now he got some gnarly stuff going on. He's like, when he came here, like 15 years old, he did like a late shove front board, late shove out. So that's his like signature move. Yeah, okay. It's super weird. And he does like late shove back lip too. He's like, he got them on lock. It's like the weirdest trick ever. But it's
must be hard to make that look good, because that's a...
Yeah, I know. But he doesn't... He
pulls it off.
Look good. Yeah, he pulls it off, I would say. And especially since it's like his signature. And he went to Tampa Am. He like qualified first in like the pre-qualifier. And in his run, he got all those like major competition tricks going down with like the cab back lips, the 270 lips, the kick for front blunts every time. And being in that world right now, it's such a hard competition going on right now. Like, if you don't do like flip front blunt, flip out, like you're not even close to being in like the semis,
Yeah. The consistency is ridiculous nowadays.
Yeah, and the level. And for me, it kind of loses the, charm when it's tray flip front blunt, big spin. But anyways, like it's impressive. Impressive. And he skates really well. And I think he's a good style, and he does it in his own way. And that's kind of the cool thing about him, and it's a really nice dude as well. So yeah, Koffe Kroon in third grade is definitely one that's gonna take place. Hope to see him in the future, especially in like street league and stuff. He would. Yeah, he's got that Terminator mindset, Terminator style. Yeah, cool. And also we have Vilma Ståhl in the third grade.
Oh yeah. She's amazing. I love her.
Yeah. You probably know her. Yeah, she's rad. As a skater, like super tech, you know. Me and her like
nollie
practice.
Front heels.
Nollie front heels. She got the switch trace going down.
Okay, nice.
That's kind of my trick too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So we do them together every now and then. But yeah, like the most humble and nicest person too. So, but yeah, she's got something going on for sure. So Vilma is watch out for her. And I was saying one more coming out of Denmark. It's called Niklas Benjam. Like Danish skater, he skates for Eva Skateboards, Nike SB Flow, I think. But he's starting to get some shine. But he has like his style is just so good.
Cool.
Yeah, for me he has the best style. Just maybe not the most technical. He's gnarly, but who certain types of skaters just has really good style.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those. Like when I watch him skate and when I watch like the tricks he chooses and how he does it, and so and he has that motivation and drive, and also really good personality, really nice kid.
Awesome.
Those three, I would leave it at that and just say that all the students are equally as much worth.
Okay, so I usually wrap up the interviews with the same question with every guest, which is, it's a kind of a cheesy question, but I think it can bring some interesting answers. It's basically, what's the most valuable lesson that you feel that you've learned from skating? Okay, so cheesy question, I'll give you a cheesy answer. Perfect. But I like the cheesy questions. Just bring it. Skating is all about trial and error. And we talk about that in class too. But it is really it is a great thing to learn early on that it's not about being the best. It's not about doing the coolest stuff. We talk a lot about being try hard. That's the thing the students like to say. It's not cool to be try hard. You should just make it look easy and just cruise around. I'm like, what are you talking about? Skating is the most try hard thing you can do. How many of you guys can say that you didn't try hard to learn a kickflip or a tray flip? That takes so much trying and failing. Yeah. But at some point, I think many people loses that drive about try and fail. They kind of develop to a certain extent, and they get into a comfort zone and they just stay there and just this is cozy. I want to do my kickflip 50-50s or tray flips. Right. You stay within the same realm of skating. Yeah. And then skateboard gets boring like everything else. But that's what it is for me. That skating is it's all about trying and failing, and the more you fail, the more you learn. So and I try to, at least in my job, for me coming into it being so insecure and being so scared of failing, I just told myself hey, when you started skateboarding, what did you do? You just failed, you failed until you got it right. And that's exactly the same thing that's going to make it work in your job. You're just gonna be the best at failing. That's a pretty cheesy answer for you. But it's very true, and it's absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's wrap it up with the friends questions. So let's start with this very first one.
Yo, Steffen, Jugga här. I have a question. As a 16-year-old shrimp, you went to Bryggeriet and came to Malmö. You graduated, and then you kind of disappeared for a while, went on your own journey. But now you're back. And I wonder, what's the biggest change that you see between Malmö then and Malmö today?
Oh, wow. That's a great question there, Jugga. Thank you for that one. The biggest change? Okay, this is going to be my answer. I don't know if this was what he was looking for, but when I went to Bryggeriet 2010 till 2013, the trend was tight pants, chinos, all that stuff. Yeah. And that's where I left. I disappeared, as you guys said. I disappeared and just, lived my life. Came back with the same tight chinos and like people were just wearing big boys all over the place, you know, looking like they came straight out of the 90s. I was like,
what happened?
yeah, like what are you guys wearing? Like, are you from the 90s or something? And they looked at me like, what are you wearing? Like, what's up with you, man? Like, you got like this medium t-shirt and this, you know, 32 sized slim chino. You look like a guy who's supposed to go to Wall Street or something. I was like, yeah, wasn't that like the way we're supposed to look like at the end? And they were like, probably hating on me a bunch, but yeah, I kind of converted into that bag, and that was like from the beginning. I was like a baggy kid and I really found back to that style and really like it now. So yeah. That was probably one of
the big differences.
Changes. Yeah, the baggy pants and the 90s style all the way back. And maybe like, you know, skate wise, when I left, people were like, it was a lot about, you know, the tricks. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was a lot about like the difficulty in the tricks.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's so much more about identity and style. Yeah. It's so like people still care about like the tricks, of course, but like more than ever, people are, you know, care about like
looking good.
Yeah, how the person look, how they act. Like, as I said, identity. Like, skateboarding has always been pretty close to identity, but now more than ever, like, I see they care so much. They're so self-conscious about how they look, how they do the stuff they do. And also a bonus one for you guys, it's the Muska flip. It's back and it's full on.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day when you did those Muska flip, you would have been hanged, man. You couldn't do that. Nowadays, they do Muska flips all day, man.
Okay, next question is from Roar Kolnes,
yes.
Something like that.
Perfect. Roar.
So he said, if you had a whole day where you could do anything you wanted, what would you do? That's it.
Classic Roar. What would I do? I'll just go with this, that like I'm really into like routines and trying to find, you know, a good way of like making my life quality just be good, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, a good day would be to just, you know, get up early in the morning, but not too early, maybe like 8 or 9. I do cold showers every morning to get the blood flowing in the body. And for me, it's just, I'm not a human before I do that cold shower. I'm like a zombie. After those 2 minutes and like fully cold, I just like... But even better than that would be to go to the sauna. I try to do that once a week, to go to the sauna, and I did it today actually. It was amazing. I go to the sauna for like 45 minutes, just swim in the ocean, go to the sauna like back and forth 3 times, then make a cup of coffee, read a book for like 20 minutes time. And I don't eat breakfast, so I eat lunch. So lately I've been really into this is funny because we went to the US, LA for like a month, and I made pancakes every day for like a month. Like really like, you know, the American style sugary garbage, but I try to make them more healthy back home here. So but make some great pancakes.
Okay.
With some syrup and just enjoy that meal. Probably put on like a really like nostalgic video. Latest video I've been really into. I get like crazy hang-ups on like nostalgic old skate videos. Like Habitat Mosaic I saw for like 3 months straight pretty recently. Wow. But recently I've been like really into like the old America videos for some reason. Like This is Skateboarding, Stay Gold. But Stay Gold is not that old in my head. But
2010 around there?
Yeah, 2010. Yeah, that's right. I was on the premiere in Copenhagen. I just moved to Malmö. It was good memory. But yeah, like watching a good old nostalgic skate video, eating my brekkie and, called up the homies, get on a session. Preferably outside in the streets. I'm a big Plaza guy, so, you know, Plaza Svampen, local spot here in Malmö, or Plaza Varnhem, also a really good plaza. Maybe go for a couple-hour session and then go grab something to eat with the homies. And then maybe go on a mission after that. See if there's anything to film. And then, in the evening, just make some proper good either Thai or Mexican food with my girl and hang out, watch a bad movie, and then... and then go to sleep. That's basically my life now, and I love it. So
that's a pretty sick day right there, yeah.
Maybe a kind of boring answer because I would hang out with Tom Cruise and, you know, I would do a backflip down a cliff. But the weird thing is, like, the older Tom Cruise. It was just a random, I don't know.
That's funny.
Random thing. He was in Norway. Maybe that's why. came up with that name. But anyway, you know, the funny thing is, like, the older I become, the more I realize that, you know, that's pretty much it in life. You know, if I get to do these things and I get to share with my friends and hang out with my Malmö homies, Macke Bengtsson, Love, Jugga, John, or Slow-Mo, and Michelle and everyone. And of course, my Norwegian homies, Roar, Eirik, all of those, Jaran, all of those guys. I am more than happy, more than blessed and thankful. So yeah. Guess that's it, Roar. That's my day in the life. Come on. Come hang out with me next time and we'll do it all. He's a big wuss, go swimming in the ocean. So so I don't think he would actually be into it. But I'll try to.
The day,
After this podcast, he might just try to do it. So.
Okay, the next one, let's see.
Dear Steffen, even though I spend almost every day with you, I can't wait to listen to your interview because there's always new insight, thoughts, and ideas that seem to come out of your popcorn brain. And that's one, really impressive, and two, something I'm very grateful to be around. And we teach together, and I know we have a lot in common, but we also have a very different approach to teaching at times. And I want to ask you, what do you think your biggest skills are as a teacher? And what do you think it takes to be a good teacher on a practical level and on a philosophical level? Thank you so much for being you. Looking forward to your interview. Thanks, bye.
Well, of course, he just threw me right into the teacher philosophical. I mean, we're like that. We talk about those things all the time. So biggest skill to become a good teacher in my world is just stay humble, I guess. And that I see that as a skill. Like, as I talked about earlier, there's so many teachers that, like, you know, they go to school, they work, and they find a way to cope with, you know, the job and being professional and all that. And they just, like, you know, have a set of assignments and a way that they do it, and they just stick with that. And I think that's a terrible way to be a teacher. I think that's, like, if you want to be a teacher, for one, I have huge respect for all teachers out there, even the ones that are doing it, like I just said, because it's such a demanding job, and it's such a... Teaching is just not easy. It's just, there's not like one specific way to do it. So to stay humble in your work and to be flexible also. I think being flexible and understand that, you know, we're teaching individuals, human beings that have individual needs and individual way to learn. And that we should never get stuck in a curriculum or a box where it's like, nah, it's this is it. Like, if the student doesn't fit in here, like, it's the student's fault. That's not teaching for me. That's just, you know, saying that this is what teaching should be. And not acknowledging the fact that teaching is not about, like, saying what somebody should do or learn. It's about actually making the student learn. And if you have that mindset, and if you have that flexibility with you in your job, and you're prepared to let everything you ever learned go the second you hear a student say, this is not working for me, then you're, in my head, the greatest teacher of all time, the GOAT. If you're able to teach and not teach solely from your ego and what you learn, and if you're able to be flexible enough to, and humble enough to
adapt.
To adapt and be new every day. To come into the classroom, be like, this is what I did the last time, but it's not necessarily what I'm going to do the next time. So hope that's philosophical enough for you, John. So thank you for that question.
Okay, this next question is from Love Ridstern.
Yes, Love Ridstern, my man, my Malmö homie.
So it's kind of linked to what we were talking about earlier. He said, in what style of pants do you think you skate the best? tight and red, or baggy and black?
Tight and red, that's so funny. I'll give you a quick one in the backstory of that red pants. As I said, I had a bit of a midlife crisis, but I would call it, a really weird period after Bryggeriet and after trying to find myself, trying to be me,
Yeah.
So my girlfriend at the time, she found a couple of pants on a vacation we went on, super red, super tight pants. I mean, they were just
skinny,
just glued into my legs and just red, just flashed your eyes, they're disgusting.
Wow.
And at the time I kind of thought they were pretty cool. I was they're so pretty sick, and there's this is different, this is not skateboarding, this is something else. And I really craved to be myself, to switch it up. And we went to Copenhagen Open 2013, 2012, I don't know, but I came pulled up with those red pants, and I kind of, have you seen Wade Desarmo, the way he pulls up his pants? I did the same thing. So I kind of pulled up the pants with the red and filmed and edit with Colin Clark. And the clip is online. It's I
need to find
skating
that,
around, skating around the Fælledparken in Copenhagen with those red pants, kick for crook and rails and stuff. And it's it looks ridiculous. And and I had a part in a video called Oslo 5.
Okay.
Norwegian video, really good by Jørgen Johannessen. Shout out to that guy. He's an amazing videographer. And I had red pants during the whole video. It just looks horrible, man. And we've been joking around with those ever since. The red pants era was it was funny. But the question was, which pants do I think I skate the best in? Right now, it's for sure the baggy ones, because I feel really comfortable in those. And for me, it was kind of finding back home to my original style, or whatever you want to call it. But it was really good for me to come back in the a bit bigger pants. I'm not the gnarliest one. I have huge, but I have more against the baggy approach, and I feel really good in those. And skate more low impact, more ledges, and more tall stuff, so it feels comfortable and it just feels good. But at one point, I loved the tight pants. I thought that was so sick at zero time period. I loved the zero videos, and I watched all that, and I felt when I skated rails, the tight pants were sick. They gave me extra power. So at one point, maybe the red pants too gave me some powers. I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah.
It's funny to imagine you skating rails in red tight pants today. It's pretty. I need to find this footage. That's hilarious.
It is weird. So thanks for that, Luve. Thanks for reminding me about the red pants area. Everyone go look that up. It looks tight, man. If you ever want to switch it up, put on some red pants and just go.
Okay, next one. Let's see.
Yo, Steffen. I've known you for 3 years now. And every time I come to talk, you always listen and share your own experiences, and you inspire and motivate. And you do this to everyone. So my question is, who inspires you to be you?
This is a student. It's August.
His name, I think it's Nipan?
Yeah, August Nipan. I recognize the voice straight away.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you, August, for that question. That's a good one. I appreciate it a lot. Well, first and foremost, I need to say, of course, John.
Yeah.
He's been a huge influence, and he's great talking. He's a coach. He's a social worker, and he's open, and he helps a lot with sharing his experience, sharing his thoughts, feelings, and tools and whatever. But other than that, because that's an easy way out, and other than that, I will definitely give the crown to my girlfriend Fenja and my mom. They're my biggest support. I have a lot of friends too. Shout out to all my close friend Jaran, Henning, Eirik, Gustav, all of the homies. So many more, but I can't mention all of them. But yeah, I have so many people that I talk to about life when I'm not feeling good, and when I'm having a hard time. I usually call one of them, my friends, or especially my mom, and I talk to my girl a lot about how I'm feeling, and their support, and they're
always there for you.
Yeah, yes, so much. And just, even though it's not always, talking, it's just listening. And that's what's inspiring me, 100%, I just love to talk and listen and just sharing experience with everyone, and especially my students, because I can relate so much to being, you know, a vulnerable teenager who is lost and, you know, trying to navigate through life with all these, you know, and especially these days, you know, it's so much pressure. Yeah, just being a kid to being an adult to being, like, you know, successful, and what is success, and what is a good life, and what's important, what's not, you know. People don't have a clue. Like, even though you say, you know, like, when you're a kid, you think that grown-ups, you know it all and whatever, but
they don't.
I'm not trying to get all sentimental here, but it's just something I really, really care about. So yeah, all of those people. And August, like, talking to him too, and all the kids at Bryggeriet, there's such a privilege to just be able to work and talk with them, and it gives me, that's maybe the weirdest part, it gives me just as, or maybe more than it gives them sometimes, talking to them, because giving to others is the greatest gift you can have. So
100%. I have another student question for you. Let's see.
Yo, I have known Steffen for a long time, like since I was a kid, and he's like the best skateboarder ever for me. Like, he skates like a pro, but like he's not really a pro. And like my question is, like, how do you maintain that grind but you're not living off it? Like, what motivates you to just wake up every day and just switch hard down the stair, nollie crook up the stair? Like, what's up?
Well, Halfdan, I heard that pretty quick.
You recognized his voice?
Yeah, Halfdan Gottliebsen Johansen. He's the homie. And yeah, he's from the same town as me, so I know him since he was a little kid, seeing him around. So it's kind of cool to follow him now.
Nice.
But yeah, Halfdan, to maintain, you know, it's my ego. It's my ego that drives, you know, that's the true answer. Like, I would like to answer something else that's like, yeah, I'm doing it for the love, but it's pretty much my, mostly it's my ego, and my ego wants me to, you know, be good. My ego wants me to switch hard down the set.
Yeah.
And I've been battling that ego for years
for a
now.
number of years, yeah.
yeah, and actually the feeling of conquering and the feeling of doing something that is hard to you. Like, it doesn't mean to be a switch hard on the set. Could be just a basic trick. Because what's I found pretty funny is that some days, you know, kickflipping on a hip is just horrible. It's just super hard, because, you know, for me it's so much therapy in skating now. To be having those issues that I've been living with for years. You know, just some days it's not even like used to try to skate, but like most days it's such a therapeutic thing to just getting to a flow state and struggle with a trick, because, you know, when you struggle in your mind, to take that outside and struggle with something else, you know, struggling with a nollie crook up a ledge, which is pretty hard, you know, just like, oh, okay, if I just pop here and just you just constantly grind and do that thing. That's what it's evolved to, at least. Like, before, it's for sure been, you know, something outside myself. Like, oh, I want to go pro, I want to get sponsored and all of that. And when I started skating again, I kind of missed out on that part. I like instantly caught that flame like so quick, because when I was like 26, I started skating again a lot, filming video parts, and I thought that like that was in the past, like that's no more. But as soon as I started again, that fire just sparked straight away, and I got so motivated, and I was like, oh no, I missed out, like I can still do this, like this is what I need to do, this is going to make me happy. And then, like, you know, after the years went by, I figured that like, no, I'm just fooling myself once again and thinking this is the way out and this is going to make me happy, when, as I said, when you get older you realize that like happiness is depending on like who you have around you and
exactly
what you fill your current life with, not like what's in, you know, in the future or something, you know, that's right. In a dream world. But anyways, so at some point, you know, I thought about that, you know, skate for fun thing, and like, yeah, just like, it's just skating for fun, and just how about, you know, just not doing switch hard flip down anything anymore, and just not doing hard tricks, and just, you know, enjoy it. But I enjoy it. And of course, my ego is a big part of that, but also just, as I said, just stepping outside my head and just, constantly grinding, and just the boost of landing and feeling like you're in control, and frontside flipping, and like just feeling like I can flip, I can catch, like there's no way I'm missing this. It's a really good feeling. It gives me a good feeling, probably like just ton of endorphins and dopamine connected to all of it.
Yeah.
Motivation and drive, I guess.
Okay, this one is from your brother Stian.
Oh,
is that how you say his name?
Yes,
Stian?
Yes,
Stian.
That's right.
So he said,
cool.
What is the best memory we have shared together?
Oh,
it's kind of a vast question and hard to answer on the spot.
Many.
But
so many. Oh, I love my brother. Thank you, Stian, for asking that. So I think the Norwegian Championships, like 2007. Like I was 14 years old, and humble bragging once again, I won that year. But I just remember him being by my side all the time, filming me. And at the time, I was kind of, like a shit kid, 14 years old, all on my own, stuff. And, I didn't give him enough gratitude. And I was too much in my own head. But just him being present, him being there, like filming and, doing his thing. He made the first skate video that was ever in like 2005. And I remember really well sitting with him editing and watching the footage that he filmed. He made this small, like we were a crew, me, Gustav Tønnesen, and my friend Eirik, made like these small like edits from this month or whatever. But I'll go with that memory, just the Norwegian Championship 2007, just being by my side, filming me and supporting me. And there's a good picture of me doing a, flip backside lipside or something, he being behind the film. I remember that picture so well, like, wow, he was really there all the time. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right, let's do this one.
Hello guys, Marcus here. I hope all is well with you. My question for you, Steffen, is about your current work as a skateboard teacher. How do you keep yourself motivated, and how do you keep yourself inspired to do the work you do? And how do you approach a problem with a student that doesn't want to perform in the class as you and John maybe expect them to do? How do you solve that? Or like, what's your go-to agenda or train of thoughts in those kind of situations? Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the podcast, and be on boards for life. Bye-bye.
Oh, Macke. The funny part is I skated with him just before this interview. And I told him, like, hey, Macke, I'm going to do this interview for Beyond Boards. I'm so nervous. I was like, what? For real? That's so sick. And he knew all the time.
Yeah, he knew all along.
That's why I was so hyped. Of course, he had a question in there. But thanks, Macke. Macke's one of my best friends, so we're closest friends. So I appreciate it coming on and asking those hard questions right away, straight off the bat. But how I keep motivated, and this is pretty controversial, but I try to not skate too much.
Okay.
Like starting, as I told you early on, I skated a lot just to compensate for not performing in class too well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny, because probably that's what a lot of students do as well, so I can relate. But I try to not skate. I try to like be really precise about taking days off, not skating every class, at least not skating every day. And in the winter time, I skate more at school and at work, because it's rainy and shitty outside, so you can't really skate. And then I don't skate during the afternoons, which kind of kills the social part of it, which is pretty hard to balance, I have to be honest. I skate Saturdays most part for myself with my friends, like old boy skate, 30 years old now, so but I've been there for a couple of years anyways. But and it's pretty challenging, I would say, it's a luxury problem to be tired of skating and have too much time to skate, especially in this age, in this situation. But I try to be really precise about when I skate, how I skate, and how I skate is pretty important too. If I burn myself out every session like I used to do, I have no juice left for anything else in life, and I like to live an active lifestyle.
Yeah.
Working out is still a part of my life. I try to bike every now and then, go on bike rides, swim. So if I want to have energy over, I need to recover. So
not put all your energy in skating and keep some for the rest of your life. Yeah, for for sure.
Yeah, and you know, like talking about balance is, I hate that word because it's non-existing in my world. So yeah, I just exactly the same as I do with skating. I just try and fail all the time. Like sometimes, to be honest, I'm like really not motivated to skateboard, and like been injuries coming back and forth and still struggling with some knee injuries and this and that can take away the drive and motivation. But one thing that I've been really trying hard to focus on lately is to enjoy the small things. John always laughs at me like when we do these goals exercises, like, yeah, my goal is to not flip into stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? Like not flipping into stuff? Like that's a weird goal. But yeah, for me, like to go and skate, it's so connected with, you know, challenging myself and doing hard stuff. So I try to learn to go skate and just enjoy, you know, ollies.
Do simpler things for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
do the simple stuff and, you know, just be present in it, enjoy it, just, you know, be mindful of like, how does it feel really when I pop or where I pop? And you can make skateboarding challenging by skating basic too. You don't necessarily need to flip in or flip out. You can make it super hard, like take more speed, take a different angle, you know, pop way earlier, and it all, you know, contributes to, you know, your skate bank or whatever you want to call it. So, and I'm really into all of this stuff. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts about, you know, psychology and stuff. So I try to implement some of those tools too, you know, Andrew Huberman and all those guys.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, I just try to keep it fun, try out different angles all the time. And then, I don't know, what was the last thing he asked about?
Oh yeah, it was like about how do you approach a problem with a student that doesn't really want to perform in the class.
That was the hard one.
At least in the way that you and John would expect him to.
Yeah, okay, so, and that happens too, of course it does. Well, what I try to do is just to ask. We never work with, you know, like reward and punishment. We don't believe in that approach at all. I think it's unproductive and really a bad way. So what we do, if a student is unmotivated, we ask them. We try to talk to them.
Like what's wrong? What's up?
Yeah, not really what's wrong, it's just more like, how are you feeling? What are you into? Because usually if a student is not performing, not skateboarding, is kind of avoiding stuff and not interested in what we're talking about, it's probably because they're interested in something else or maybe just burned out. I usually try to, you know, approach it with being interested in them, asking what's important for you,
where's your head at?
Yeah, where's your head at right now? Like, what do you need? What can I do? Like, is there anything else you rather do right now? And if they're not interested in anything else either, I would expect it to be something like a problem. And if there's a problem, like if there's an issue that's standing in the way, then I'm even more excited to talk to the student and ask, like, what's up? Like, what's happening in your brain? What's happening in your body? Is there anything I could do? Is there anybody you're talking to? So yeah, and you know, eventually, if the student's not performing and if the student's not skating and if the student's not doing anything, they will end up with an F. And that's not the end of the world. Like, you know, people get an F all the time. I don't see that as a big issue either. And that's rarely the case in the skate subject. So if that were to happen, I would think it's for the better. It's like, okay, you got an F. So that was probably because this wasn't for you, and good luck further on and just do your thing. But we'll of course try to motivate them, come down to the park and just be there. But we never force them to perform. We never say like, you have to skateboard. We always we try to motivate them, and we try to get the group to motivate them. And but if the student's not motivated, not engaging in anything, they'll do something else, I guess.
So I have a few from your friend Eirik that you mentioned a few times. Eirik Svensson. So he said, who is your all-time favorite Norwegian skater? The second one is, what's the heaviest you ever bench pressed? Third one is, why can't your stiff ass still not do a melon grab after all that stretching?
I'll do this as a rapid fire.
Okay.
All-time favorite Norwegian skater. Oh, it's so hard to choose, but I'll give this to Karsten Kleppan. He's such an ATV, just gnarly. Okay, but it's a rapid fire, so just let's continue.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So the heaviest you've ever bench pressed?
The heaviest ever bench pressed, 130 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah, that was age 25 in Copenhagen. No steroids, clean, just pumped iron every day, basically. But yeah, that's not the case anymore though. But
Okay.
But yeah, 130 kilograms. And for the last question, why am I stiff
why can't
ass?
your stiff ass still not
Still do a melon grab?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good question. It bums me out every time I try because I just can't get my arm down and grab that melon. It's so hard for me. I just gave up on that trick so long ago, and he's got the best melons. He even got kickflip melons. But yeah, I hate that trick. Yeah. My answer is just I hate it. It's a whack trick. There you go. There it is.
There you
Take
go.
it.
Okay, let's do this next one. Let's see.
Hey, Content, and hi, Steffen. Nice. I'm looking forward to listening to your podcast, Steffen. Steffen is a great guy and an amazing skater, and also one of the most calculated skaters I know. So I would like to hear a little bit more about Steffen's approach to measuring things, putting his shoulders straight, like skateboarding as a math equation. So yeah, talk about that, Steffen. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, if you would ask my dad if I had a mathematic approach to anything in life, he would
Not believe it.
yeah, he would kind of laugh at that. But anyways, thank you for the question, Tom. That was a good one. And measuring things just kind of started as a weird. Everyone has like a measure app on their iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So I started just like measuring things I skated, everything from like flat gaps to like ledges. And I found it kind of exciting because it was like a way to like get perspective on like, you know, sometimes you skate a ledge and it feels really tall, and you skate another ledge and it looks really tall, but it's not that tall. It's like sometimes your eyes or in your perception can kind of fool you.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, why don't I just like have a like real measure, you know, stick or whatever, and just measure everything I skate, so I know the height, and I like, even though it's not always the case that you're like, okay, so this is the same height, so I should be able to do it. Sometimes you're just not, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like interesting. And I'm a huge, you know, skate nerd, and I love to like skate safari when I travel. And me and my girl went to Barcelona in summertime.
Right.
And, you know, Tiago skates the tallest ledges. And I told my girl, like, hey, we just need to go over, like, in this corner real quick. He's like, why? I'm like, I'm just going to measure real quick this ledge. So I measured all the ledges he skated. And I was like, okay, this is 75, this is 84. And it's like, it just blows my mind to like see and actually get the measure, which is kind of a mathematic approach, I guess.
I think I remember actually seeing a story of yours on Instagram of this thing that Thiago switched from crooked in the primitive video, right?
Exactly, yeah. That was 75, and that's pretty tall to switch from crook and pop into like a garage.
Yeah, and he did it so well, like so better.
Yeah, and I put it on my stories, and I put the trick in there. So it's kind of funny, but.
And your girlfriend is very patient to come with you and measure spots. That's amazing.
She's the best. She keep up with me, even though I'm measuring stuff on vacation. But yeah, I don't know why I have that approach. I guess I'm kind of a perfectionist, as we talked about earlier on. It's a weird thing because I'm not the perfectionist in so many other things in life. At least I don't myself think so. I'm pretty like, you know, kind of like, whatever on like a lot of things. But skating, I think in particular skating, because skating has been such a big part of my identity and like who I am. And I've been putting a lot of my self-esteem in that. So I want that to look the best it can be, you know. Really picky on, you know, small things, and it can go over to, you know, the unhealthy, you know, perfectionist side. But yeah, most part I really enjoy looking at a proper clean, you know, trick. And just, you know, I'm really nerdy about how you flick, how you grind, how's your posture and everything. So yeah, it's just a hobby of mine, I guess, and it's just a really nerdy thing. So
it reminded me like what you just said about measuring a spot. It's not really the same thing, but I watched this like old epically layered on Andrew Reynolds, who tapped 3 times whatever, you know, his board, the wall next to the spot, whatever it is, you know. It's kind of like this little routine to kind of get into the flow of, I'm going to try this difficult trick or whatever it is, you know, especially if it's an gnarly set or something. And does it kind of reassure you to, like, for example, if you measure a rail and to have this figure, now that you know, okay, it's 80 centimeters at the top, whatever, is it kind of comforting for you to know it and makes it a bit more approachable all of a sudden, or?
Definitely. It definitely helps. yeah, it helps me to realize that it's actually possible. And sometimes it works against its purpose. Yeah, it's just, you know, I had this one session last summer where I came in so confident because I had measured it with my phone, which is like really not accurate at all. And I was just like, yeah, I'll definitely be able to switch flip backtail this ledge. It's like 55 centimeters, and I've been switch flip backtailing like 60, no problem. The weekend before came out, couldn't do it, couldn't get up on it. I was like, how is this possible? Like, I did measure this. I'm supposed to be able to pop on.
Yeah.
And I ran into the store, which is like straight across the street. I was like asking like, hey, can I borrow a measure stick? Like, why? Just like, I'm just going to measure this ledge. It's like, okay, here we go. And I measured it and it was like 68. I was like, okay, there you go. Like, then it kind of worked against its purpose. But yeah, most times it just helps me to get like a perspective, like, okay, it's this tall, like it's doable, and
you can process it better in your mind, kind of.
Yeah. And of course, madness, I got a lot of that too, you know.
Most skaters, I think, yeah.
Yeah, most skaters are like OCD.
That's what makes them good.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I have a question from, I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Arnaud de Dieu. He runs a school in France called Shifty.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, right. Who's sort of an equivalent to Bryggeriets, even though it's after high school. It's not a high school.
Yeah.
He asked a few things, but I'll just do one question from him. He said, do you feel your students get bored sometimes, not realizing the privilege of being part of such a customized program? I guess he says that because he probably experiences that himself in his program over there in Shifty in Bordeaux. But does that happen? I'm sure it happens, but like, how do you deal with that?
The answer is yes, very much so. I guess for the people from the outside, that sounds crazy, but there is something that happens as soon as you institutionalize your passion.
Yeah.
I mean, when somebody tell you to step on your skateboard from 1:30 till 4 and say, now you are supposed to skateboard, you are getting graded, and you're doing assignments. Mm-hmm. It can be tricky.
It takes the fun out of it a bit, yeah.
I don't know, maybe for this school in France, it's different because they're like, you know, in a certain age where they may have developed and maybe they stick with it. But especially in the teens, you know, there's not everyone. There's a lot of students that quit skateboarding. I myself, I got burned out skating, you know, so I can relate a lot to the feeling a lot of students have. And for sure, it happens all the time. And sometimes the students may have been skating like the whole week and the night before, and then we're supposed to skate Friday evening, and they're like, I'm over it, you know, like, I don't want to skate right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be that teacher, you know, forcing them and saying, you know, like, yeah, but, you know, this is skate class. This is when you're supposed to skate. Because I can't just say like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you skated yesterday. No problem. Because it is important to skate on the skate lecture as well.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And me and John are pretty clear about that this is not skating outside with your homies, you know, like this is, even though it feels like it and it's a good thing and it feels like it is something else. And, you know, we try to be as transparent as possible with them and just talk about it and say like, this isn't skating with your friends at your spare time, but it's still, you know, we try to keep in that spirit, but also we need to agree to a certain extent how we should approach this. And usually by doing that conversation, most of them are like, yeah, well. And as I said, we don't force them to skate. We just say, come down to the skate park, hang out, be present, skate when you feel like it, take a break if you need to. And even if you don't want to skate the whole lecture, that's fine. But just, something that works for you, you know. But that doesn't even work either sometimes. And sometimes it just fails. So, and that's okay.
Okay, I have a few last ones.
Yeah.
So this one's from Jaren Jacobsen.
Yeah.
The question is, I've been skating with you for 18 years, and I have only seen once that you gave up on a trick that you tried or filmed. How do you have such a strong mentality on never giving up on tricks or a goal that you have set? We kind of talked about these things.
Yeah, it's 100% my ego, as I said earlier on. Mm-hmm. And in certain times and in certain parts, and still to this day, sometimes it goes over to being obsessive and compulsive and not a good thing. At some point, like I really got into the madness part of it and like the anger and all the frustration and just took over. But I have such a hard time letting myself down. That drive just keeps giving me energy and just like
pushing you.
Yeah, walking away from a trick, it's been really hard. So Funny he mentions that he only seen me gave up once. That was probably last summer when I was really close doing like a trick over a rail and like screaming like, come on, one more. And I just in the end got so mad and I screamed back, I'm done. Like, no, like this is me being better than my ego right now, so don't force me anymore. And that was weird for them, like, what? You never give, like, what? And I was like, yeah, this is the right thing to do for me right now. So yeah, it's that, but also I just always loved just pushing myself to that limit, you know, just go to the very edge of what I'm capable of and see what's inside the box, and it's usually a monster.
Yeah, interesting.
And the reward, of course, of making it's just, you know, euphoric.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially for tech tricks or tricks that you battle for a long time.
Yeah. You get addicted to that stuff, so.
Okay, let's do this one. We mentioned her earlier.
I have many Norwegian classmates, and you're from Norway, and you used to go to the school. So my question is, what is the biggest difference between the Swedish and the Norwegian skate scene?
Did you recognize her voice?
Yeah, Vilma, of course.
Vilma, yes, exactly.
Yeah, recognize Vilma. Yeah, I'm gonna say something controversial straight off the bat, that Norwegian skateboarders are better than Swedish.
Of course.
No, but that's, I mean, like, there is a saying that it's typical Norwegian to be good, and that's really whack. But you know, I think it's so amazing. Norway has probably the worst, especially where I'm from. It's like 280 rain days a year, and it's like,
oh wow,
yeah, it's the weather and the climate sucks, you know. But still, we have several skaters that turn pro, and we have
incredibly gifted
such
skaters.
a strong community and such gnarly skater. And we're only half the population of Sweden, 5 million people, and still we have so many gnarly skaters and great. And you know, all of those who are well known in the skate industry, they're good, but there's so many more. Like there's so many videos, Norwegian like videos.
Yeah, local vids. Yeah,
insane, like pro level skating is just. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that, and probably gonna get some hate on Monday. Thanks, Vilma, for that question.
Okay, I have two last ones. This one's from your girlfriend, Fenya.
Yeah.
So she said, if you had to stop skating right now, what would you do instead?
Probably end up in a mental hospital. Just kidding. No.
Well, after the mental hospital.
Yeah, after the mental hospital.
Once you get out.
Once I get out, I don't know. Like, it's so hard. I've been trying so hard to think about that exact question. Like, what would I do? I find it so hard to catch interest because I'm the type of person who is like, if I'm committed to something, like when I find that one thing, then I really do that all the way.
Right, yeah.
And it's hard for me to make sense of anything else than that. I just really enjoy skating so much that like it's kind of hard to fill that void. But if I had to choose something, it would be last couple of years I've developed a huge interest for, you know, hiking in the mountains.
Oh yeah?
Where I'm from in Norway, there's beautiful mountains, beautiful scenery. There's so much outdoors to discover, and I've always like not hated that, but I've always avoided it when I was a kid because, you know, you're surrounded with it. In Norway, as a Norwegian, you're surrounded with, you know, going to the mountains, being outside in nature and all that stuff. So if I were to stop skating today, I would probably, you know, work out, swim in the ocean like I do. Biking is really good, like complementary.
Yeah. You can bike intensely and skate, like it's not incompatible, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of skaters who's into that too. So
right.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, and you know, just camping, being out in the woods. I don't know if I even could, you know, catch interest in another sport at this point. If you want to call skateboard a sport, that's pretty controversial. But yeah, maybe I could try, you know. Maybe I could do it for fun every now and then. But being this deep in skateboarding, nah, that's not gonna happen in anything else. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. No,
like I always come back to that, and it's like, yeah, you know, like I try to do stuff, and when I come back and I skate, it's like, this is the best.
Yeah. But it's good to try out some other things sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Just really quick, back to that subject about, you know, what do you do with students that's not motivated?
Oh, yeah.
One of the main advice I actually give students who are attending the school is that if you want to keep a good relationship to skateboarding, find something else.
Yeah.
Find something else besides of skateboarding that gives you something besides of, you know, partying, alcohol, and doing, you know, stuff that's pretty much destructive. So,
yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, very last one.
Hi, Stefan. First of all, I just want to say that I'm super proud of you for reaching out to the world and sharing your story about your mental health and your choice of becoming sober. My question to you is not about skateboarding. I wonder if you have any tips or recommendations for the people out there who are feeling depressed or battling their mental health by themselves. See you in Malmö soon. Take care.
Krille Kriminell.
Yes. His name is
Christopher Karlsjö.
Yes.
Thank you so much for asking that. So yeah, it's pretty new that I decided to go sober, completely sober, to not drink alcohol or do anything else.
Okay.
Like maybe 2 months ago or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was a good choice. I didn't have like a severe problem with maybe this wasn't what he was asking, but I would still say it anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't have any severe
addiction
problems to any drugs or alcohol, but I definitely in many years had a really destructive behavior while intoxicated with alcohol, and as many people do stupid stuff, and that's okay and whatnot, and I learned to control it and to some extent, and I drank less and less and like tried to find balance, which I said the word I hate. But it just came to me one day, just like, I'm over this, this is just not for me, it's just unproductive in my life. I get it that people want to do it, and I get it that people enjoy it, and I do too. Like, I more than enjoy it, I love it. That's why I don't want to do it, because I like it too much, you could say. So yeah, I just took it to the next level in my journey to become a better version of myself. It's a cliche, but that's what it is, I guess.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I just wanted to, be free from it, and to connect that into what Krill is asking. I think struggling with mental health, struggling with addiction, struggling with, depression, anxiety, and other diagnoses, you need to just start digging down in your deep hole, which everyone has. And in that hole, you're gonna meet so many ghosts, so much darkness, and hopefully some light, which I did, and I'm really grateful. And what that light is, it's different from person to person. For some, it might be something religious, and for some people, it might be a person. It's just, it's just important to acknowledge it, talk about it, reflect on it a lot. And at the end of the day, it's about like what makes you happy. And dare to ask yourself that question. Stop living in the lie that we all have been told. And this is getting pretty, out there, but I don't care. So yeah, like living in that lie, like if you get that next Mercedes, if you just like that next step, like I said back in the day when you're a kid, like maybe dreaming about becoming something, a pro skater or whatever, and you think like happiness is like in a box wrapped in, ready for you to unpack it. But what you will find in that box is usually like an empty hole, and it's so easy to, and you see it all around, like people just like drowning themselves in drugs, alcohol, and other dark, unproductive coping mechanisms. And it's about time we stop, living in that lie and actually talk about what it is. And I don't say it's a bad thing becoming a pro skater. It's a great thing. Like if that's your goal, and if you reach that, and if you're happy in it, like that's perfect. But I don't think that's the case for everyone, and it's certainly not the case that you will get happy because of that. And that you can see in Ben Raymer's foundation, for example, which I am a huge fan of. And actually me and Erik Svensson talked about doing a skate charity for that foundation this summer, and do a similar thing that Barney Page did when he skated from London. No, I think it was UK, the whole UK.
The whole
or something.
UK, yes, that's right.
Yeah, we're gonna do just a way smaller version of that and just skate for the Ben Raymer's Foundation. And
that's amazing. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and these things gives me a lot, Talk about it openly.
Yeah.
Being, in the present moment, not just too much in the future, too much in the past. Just learn to accept it for what it is. Like, try to not let the shame take over, and just try to tell the people you love that you love them.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's a huge part of it. It's so easy to be like, no, it's cool, yeah, it's no, whatever. Like, I'm a man, no worries.
Yeah.
And just find your own light. Find your own light in life. It's different for everyone. Like meditation, super good. If you're into religion, that's good. Whatever floats your boat. it's weird to say, but I kind of say like you need to go towards where it feels the most scary, because if it doesn't feel scary, it's not going to get you any place. Like that's why people escape to drugs and alcohol and unhealthy coping mechanisms, because it feels safe. Because it feels good. Like of course, if you get drunk, you don't feel any anxiety in that present moment, but you will feel even more the day after, and even more the week after, and even more like if you keep going. And that's what happened to me. I just let that anxiety and depression just grow and grow and grow, and I never stopped and listened to my body. I just filled my... And I think a lot of people can relate to this, that you just fill your life with stuff that you think is good, and you're like, yeah, I'm happy, like, hey, I get drunk every weekend, I'm hanging out with my friends, I have tons of friends, I have so much going on, like I have a good job, I have an apartment, a house, I had all that stuff, and I told myself, this is it. Like I remember my friend Yaran, who also has been like struggling with a lot of the same things.
Okay.
Like asked me at some point, like, aren't you like having anything happening? I was like, what? Why should I have that? Like I have the perfect life. Like I'm working out every day, I party, like I have the looks, I have apartment, everything is good. Like, and he's like, yeah, well, but someday it will maybe catch up to you. And it did, like pretty much straight after, like not a long time after. And he's like, yep, told you so. And that's when I realized, like, whoa, I let this go way off. And so, but also just don't look at it as a bad thing, because it's not. It's quite the opposite, like I wouldn't be here I am today if I hadn't,
like
if these things hadn't happened.
Yeah, it's part of your journey.
I could have been stuck in Stavanger, just 30 years old, maybe just having an apartment, the car, the house, which is really normal over there, and the job or whatever, and just have that lifestyle, which would make me even more depressed. So I'm super glad and super thankful for having all of those things. It's just really hard in the present moment when it hits you, and when it hits you hard, it's overwhelming, and that's where the friends and family and love come in. So that's the strongest and most important.
No, that resonates a lot for me, because I quit drinking almost 2 years ago now.
Okay.
I was a heavy alcoholic for 15 years. I worked in the wine industry. I was like a sommelier kind of, like I worked in wine bars.
Wow, yeah.
And so I would drink every night alone with people, like my whole mental health, my overall health, everything was going to shit. And I was getting slowly but surely towards liver cirrhosis.
Yeah.
COVID kind of saved me, because I quit drinking in April 2020, and it was hands down the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's so worth it. It was very uncomfortable for many months and everything, but I'm so grateful. Like I would have never started this podcast if I hadn't stopped drinking. And
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it opened so many doors, like I was trapped in like this kind of mental prison and this lifestyle, and quitting drinking was just like a kind of a gamble. Like I had no idea what was waiting for me on the other side, but I did, and it sucked for a bit of time, but then now I'm like so grateful, and I don't miss drinking at all anymore. Like every now and then I'll think about it, like I'll see a movie and they talk about a nice wine from whatever, some place in Italy, and I'm like, oh shit, like I remember these wines, whatever. So sometimes this nostalgia kind of strikes me, and it sucks a little bit, but on the opposite side, I know all the great things that being sober has brought me, and I would never trade that for anything in the world.
Oh my, 100%.
I salute your going sober. That's a very important thing.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really inspiring. I relate so hard to everything you just said. And yeah, that's true. Like there is things I do think about, and like, oh man, like am I not like ever gonna stand with a beer in my hand, dance floor with my friends, and like, but what I realized is that you can do all of that stuff.
Of course, without drinking, for sure.
It's such a cultural thing too, that like alcohol is so connected to, being
social
out, being
gatherings,
social, being like relaxed and loose and be able to dance, especially here in Scandinavia, because we drink hard liquor until we dance our ass off. In France, it's at least what
it's a bit different for sure, but it's,
you're more like mellow, drinking wine here and there. But either way, for me too, it just came down to that point where it's like, you know what, like this takes so much more than it gives. And I've had a good run. Like I partied hard, and a lot of it was good, but a lot of it was super destructive and bad. So I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna try this. And for me, it's pretty fresh, but it's not a too hard transition because I drank so little the last couple of years. But still, it's like it's still weird. Like I'm going to the Poetic premiere now.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna drink some.
I was gonna
alcohol
say
free.
that. Like everybody's gonna drink and.
Everybody's gonna drink, and like I'm drinking non-alcoholic, and people are asking questions and judging and whatever. But what I find is that there's so many people who has so much acceptance, way more than I ever imagined. So
of course,
if there's one thing I'll say is that like there are actually more people that are like curious and like, wow, how's that working for you, and like what's that doing to you, and like I wish I could do that. It's like, what do you mean? Like you could do it, like. There's nothing I wish. There's just like do or don't. Like, of course, it's not necessarily something that you need to do or even is worth doing for you. But yeah, it's just up to you at the end of the day. But choose yourself over the alcohol. That's the only thing I would say, because, you know, the alcohol will never be there for you, but you can be there for yourself. So
exactly. Okay, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Steffen.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm so thankful and grateful for having the opportunity, and especially for being able to talk about like the things that I really, really care about and things that I find really, really important. And I just want to keep doing that, and hopefully people will
be inspired
to do.
Will think about that. Yeah, absolutely. That's it for my conversation with Steffen. Follow him on Instagram at Steffen Austerheim. Follow Bryggeriets High School at Bryggeriets Gymnasium. Go watch some of Steffen's video parts on YouTube, and don't forget to go watch the amazing Fallout short documentary by Pocket Skate Mag on the school, which came out a few months ago. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon for a new episode of Beyond Boards.